What's up, unretirees? Mark Johnson here. And we're going to be talking about helping you get over by telling your story. Everybody has a story deep within that they need to tell. That is a really amazing transformational story. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So hang in there so you don't miss out. So here we go. So this is about telling your story. And what is story? What are we talking about that we're called to tell? Well, story actually has a structure. If you talk to anybody long enough, they'll start telling a story. And our biology is just receptive to it. It really changes our lives when you hear a good story. And there are several parts to it. The first part is called exposition, and that's about who you are, what life as usual has been before the change happened, what business as usual has been before the change happened. And then the change starts to happen. That's plot point number one. The changes that, just think about it, the changes that when you went into retirement and then you discovered, wow, there's got to be more to this. And you realize that you need to have more purpose. So you end up from moving from exposition from the changes into challenge. And from the least challenging to more challenging to even more challenging and the most challenging. For me, as I've navigated all these different phases of my life, the most challenging one is thinking about the mass extinction of species life on the planet that the scientists are warnings about because of climate change. And so that's got me really going. That got me really motivated here. And but that because of that motivation got moved me to plot point two, where I begin to change, where things get better for myself, um, and for other people that I serve. And that ends up into resolution. So across from right from challenges, we start, of course, with the least opportune resolutions to more opportune, to even more opportune, to the most opportune, responding. And that's where I have a role for me it has to do with major climate action across the planet. I got a big view, as you can see here. But one of the things that will help me and help you is just thinking about this whole hierarchy of needs. This is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs that go from physiological needs, air, water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, reproduction, to safety needs like personal security, employment, resources, health, property, and then into this loving and belonging phase of friendship, intimacy, family, and a sense of connection with people. And then related to that is the respect that you gain, the self esteem, the status, the recognition, strength, and freedom. And then finally, the last role is the desire to become the most that you can be. And that's the calling that I have within me to kind of deal with this and help people, whatever phase fits you, whatever way that matches your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats in terms of doing your own SWOT analysis here. And here's some things worth considering. This is what I've had to do. What are you most passionate about? And what are you most proficient? And how can you leverage them both gainfully? Well, what and going to that deep kind of thinking, I realized that I'm pretty good with technology and global communications and learning. So that's where I'm going to, you know, set my plant my flag as my remaining time on the Earth plane counts down. I just turned 80 years young, and so I don't have that many years left on the Earth plane. So I want to make every moment count here. And one of the ways that I did that to speed up my things is I decided to get certified as a Google AI professional. So this AI can save some time, where you can offload some of the work to it and it'll come back with some great results. So I've taken 7 courses: AI fundamentals, AI brainstorming and planning, AI for research and insights, AI for writing and communicating, AI for content creation, and AI for data analysis, and AI even for app building. So this is just the beginning here, but it's really already starting to help me. And one of the things that you can consider, and what I've had to consider, is this is kind of the where I build everything here in terms of love and belonging. I have a kind of an enlightened business development approach that has to do with addressing these needs as opportunities in disguise. So it's, first of all, to get known. You probably don't know me yet, but you can get to know me by watching my videos here. I can get liked. I can get trusted by being consistent with great value, getting tried with some of the things that I'm going to suggest that you try out, getting bought again, and getting referred to others. So that's the whole process here. I'm using YouTube and other technology tools to do that. And the other set is Google Workspace. If you have a Gmail account, that's actually a master Google account for personal docs and all that kind of thing. But if you be building a business and you need more firewall protection, more security, then you want to go with Google Workspace. And I really have done that. It includes domain Gmail. So my Gmail is support at newworldcom.com, docs in a protected place, slides, sheets, which is like spreadsheets, meet, which is like a Zoom call that works really nice with my classroom, forms to build survey forms, sites. And man, is that cool. I am paying about $22 a month for all of this Google Workspace account, including massive drive, storage, and all that, about $22 a month. And that's hosting of the website. If you haven't been to my website, you're in for a treat. Check it out. But it also now includes Google Classroom. And wow, I was shopping for a place, service to host my course I'm developing called Navigating Your Unretired Life. I realized I already have Google Classroom. Comes out of the K through 12 community. And as soon as I got into it, it started giving me information about Gemini AI for educators. And so I also in my account, having a pro account, had the advanced version of Gemini AI that has some really amazing tools that are fitting perfectly for what I'm doing in terms of putting together my class. And of course, I have a whole suite of e-learning services that I've been developing ever since 1997 when I left KCTS Public Television and distance learning. And it includes 3D explainer video services, virtual focus groups and strategic planning services, YouTube programming and channel development services, how-to workshops and courses, mobilization campaign services, virtual conference and trade show platform services, and instructional design services, physical world live streaming, and global strategic partnership building services. I've designed them so each one kind of supports and builds on the other. And that's really really been helping me, and it's going to really help you. I'm going to train people on using each one of these services as a revenue generating source. And here is one of the things you want to talk about story. I've developed a whole mega story with this fictitious CEO, Dave of ABC Corporation, who I have, he has had costly employee churn. people leaving, and he needed to gain focus to avoid further loss and to make new gains. And then he discovers in the process an employee named Lizzie, who's really climate action conscious and helps the enterprise draw down carbon. By the way, Project Drawdown is where we got all of this idea where, he has employees at work application that'd be worth checking out. And workshops and courses are co-created with employees that help retain employees and make the entire enterprise make gains. And the mobilization campaign that mobilizes the entire global enterprise makes even more gains. And virtual conferences and trade shows that generate revenue and radically reduce his costs. He's been spending a lot of money by flying people all around the country to come to the annual sales show and marketing meeting and all that. Now they can do that virtually and include more people and much, much more. And this is a gainful and really fun new skill to acquire. For more information, be sure to contact us at newworldcom.com because we can show you how to do this. And it's really fun. And it's a niche opportunity. And one of the outcomes of working with Google AI is it's discovered a wonderful application. It's like a virtual research assistant called Notebook LM. And after I asked it to do a massive report on navigating the unretirement marketplace in the US in year 2026, it asked me, did I want a slideshow for that? And I said, well, yeah. And I hit a button. This is in Studio, which is kind of included with this. It started crunching. And it took a while to crunch, but everything you see was auto-generated here. And he comes out with a great title, Architecting the $8 trillion Longevity Economy. Wow. So it says the traditional definition of retirement is structurally obsolete, driven by an expanding health span and shifting economic realities. The modern transition is characterized by unretirement, a fluid multi-stage return to the labor force. This is a blueprint for capitalizing on the defining market shift of the 2020s. And you see here, this is kind of like a building here with different floors here. And it starts with the first floor where you're at, and you may be, is that discovering that traditional retirement has become obsolete because you're living longer and you need more wealth span and all of that. And so the next phase is shoring up for your health span expansion. As you age, things happen with your heart, maybe your blood sugar, whatever. But with new technology, you can manage this and can expand your health for considerable time. This is what's happened with me. And then as a result of that and learning more, there's an economic shift that starts to happen here. And so you move into this phase of unretirement and multi-stage returns on investment here. And then the final goal is to arrive up here where you have this longevity economy value creation. I love the fact that this is in gold. It's kind of neat. So it goes further, and it really came up with this amazing graphic here, a permanent structural shift in global demographics. By 2032, adults age 65 and older will outnumber individuals under 18 for the first time in U.S. history. This inversion is reshaping labor markets, consumer spending, and public policy. Older workers are not just participating in the economy, they are driving it. And so it comes up with 2.1 billion, which is the projected global population over age 60 by 2050, a 100% increase, 117% growth, increase in the workforce, age 65 over the last 20 years. That's 117%. It's aging populations that are the fastest growing demographically. And it's 93% share the proportion of total US workforce growth driven by older workers over the past 25 years. So that's a big chunk of influence on the economy. And then here's a nice figure here, $7,300 average. That's the target spend for 60 to 69-year-olds in 2023, outpacing for 18 to 49-year-olds by 30%. And that's on the rich side. Now, not everyone in our group of 65 plus people have enough money. This is the other side who have enough savings and different kinds of pension plans and different kinds of stocks and annuities and things like that that can afford to spend $7,300 on the average for taking travel around the world. You can see this architectural elevation timeline here. This is that shift. This is showing you that rise, and you can see these arrows point to different phases of that. And it's really kind of interesting. So this is a great graphic. And this is the real key of the course that we're going to be covering here. There are basically three pillars here that we have to work with, and they're challenges, but there are also opportunities here. The Milken Institute identifies three interlocking variables that define the new longevity economy: extending biological health, wealth, and corresponding financial resilience creates a deficit. Technology, on the other hand, acts as the exponential multiplier that enables older uh, adults to maintain their life. So you see right here, looking at this, the health span, this is the period of life spent in good functional health, currently trailing lifespan by approximately 10 years. So what that's saying is your health, because of technology and different things, uh, is expanding, but you need more financial security, and with the mitigation of the longevity gap, outliving one's own money. So with the inflation and all that, you need to have some ways as a hedge to that. That's working again, being more innovative and finding out what the new opportunities are for us. And this is where technology can come in. We're going to talk about that. The exponential multiplier, wearables, AI, diagnostics, fintech, that's financial technology that bridges the gap between the H and the W. So says a lot in this one slide, doesn't it? And what was really kind of interesting is going back to that my Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think the application, that notebook, LM realized that I was essentially building, and that's what I'm working on, is a virtual enterprise to be more competitive. And so it kind of designed the building. So here's like the same pyramid, but in 3D here, starting with the survival push. And there's two forces. There's an economic push. You gotta make more money, but a psychological pull, which for me has to do with serving humanity more, not only making money, but serving people well, particularly in terms of climate action that we need. And then this next level is to start to move towards safety. Those people who have money are buying annuities, they're shoring up their health care. And this IRMA planning, IRMA is the charge. You have to understand that if you start making a whole lot more money, I think it's up to $106,000. IRMA puts a surcharge on your Social Security, and you have to pay more, even though you're making more, of course. but you have to kind of hedge, kind of work within that framework here. So you have to do some IRMA planning. That's what financial planners talk about with you at this age. And then there's the belonging. This is where I'm getting the most value here, age inclusive co-working and real estate. Now, I'm developing virtual real estate, virtual enterprises that you can meet inside of. Zoom is one of those virtual um, enterprises, so I can meet with people and have a business from all over the planet here very cost effectively. And then there's the STEAM, the pull, the knowledge economy, and expert networks. There are now companies that are now matching people up. That some of the companies are finally realizing that, gosh, we need more workers. We don't have enough skilled people to do the job here. And even though they're struggling, looking, trying to use AI to do that, they need real people that have real skills, wisdom to leverage. And so there are these expert networks that we'll be talking about and exploring with you. And that moves you finally to the whole actual self-actualization level. This is the encore career and mentorship technology piece. And the encore is, on stage. If you make a great performance and they keep clapping, they want you to come back on the stage. It's called an encore. So this is kind of like you coming back into the workforce in a really neat and innovative way, and working with reverse mentoring. That not only are you mentoring younger employees, but they are mentoring you. So you're actually co-creating something really new and fresh here. And here it is in gold. I love it. So here's this physical, level one, going back to that those planes, the physiological necessity and the decumulation crisis. Decumulation is the term that financial planners use. That's your situation where all the money's going out, but nothing's coming in. It's decumulating instead of accumulating, it's decumulating. And so for many, and retirement is an immediate response to the rising cost of living and the evaporation of budget. And the final services industry must pivot from passive accumulation models to agile real-time decumulation. 164,000 is the median retirement savings for adults age 65 to 75, inadequate for a 20 plus year horizon. 48% share of retirements who cite making money as their primary motivation. So there's a 52% that can afford to go on these nice vacations with a budget of 7,500 or more. But there are 48% of us that say we need to make more money. We don't have enough money. Our Social Security doesn't cover it. Boy, the cost of our mortgage or our rent or the cost of living with gas being what it is, maybe some healthcare crises. We've got to have more security here. So the market opportunity is using fintech tools that dynamically manage withdrawals, adjust to market dips, and model the 30-year post-retirement horizon. I'm not building an engine that's much more less mechanical looking than this, but this is a great way that Notebook LM thought about, dealing with some of this stuff. It's a clicker here, but it's a great slide nevertheless. So level two again has to, moving up that hierarchy has to do with mitigating risk through healthcare and guaranteed cash income. Once basic survival is secure, the priority shifts to protecting against volatility. And retirees face a complex web of tax hurdles and penalties when earning active income, driving a surge in demand for surprise prevention planning and guaranteed income. So those are the hazards. The IRMA trap, earning above $106,000 in a single triggers Medicare Part 2B surcharges of $74 plus monthly. Work income actually threatens safe benefits. Market volatility, behavioral risk permanently undermines portfolio longevity during downturns. They're talking about stocks and bonds. So you think, oh, I'm okay. I got these stocks and bonds. If you look, a lot of us going down, they say the fine print, all annuities involve risk. And so the safety infrastructure, the Social Security level, delaying Social Security to at least to age 70 by working 2 extra years yields a 54% increase in the monthly payout. The annual annuity demand, 49% of investors age 50 plus feel a heightened need for annuities to secure a baseline of essential monthly costs. Now, every every AI thing has a certain amount of bias, and this is biased towards kind of really more conventional thinking here. But it's a good way to look at this in general and say, on the average, these are some of the issues that are, that we on retirees are facing. And but here's where, and level three is really neat. The combating the isolation epidemic through the third place. Now, what is the third place? It's really getting close to what I was talking about. Leaving the workforce often triggers a profound loss of social architecture, with 41% of retirement giving their social lives a C grade or below. Age inclusive co working spaces are emerging as the new community anchors for hybrid retirees. And I have something, and that's a new world virtual enterprise I'm developing. And for skilled people that I can train and empower to work from the convenience of their home, but as part of a global enterprise. And so this goes down into, it's really good that, really thought about this. Suburban nodes, shorter commutes, replacing downtown high rises, biophilic design, integration of natural light and greenery for cognitive health, for your mindset, hospitality focus, transitioning from open spaces to concierge level boutique hotel experiences, acoustic zoning, the study models replacing open plan, chaos to reduce cognitive load. So you're not in a bunch of cubicles. So this really fits working from home. I've got a real nice virtual office here, and that background is just virtual. But I have a wonderful situation here by a space that I can work from my pajamas even and do that. So this is really great. So level four has to do with monetizing institutional memory into the knowledge economy. At the esteem level, and retirees need respect, status, and recognition. They transition from holding a corporate role to operating as an independent brand. Expert networks and executive branding agencies are the primary conduits for this value extraction. Again, this is a bias. Not everybody's going to fit this model here, but there are networks, there are knowledge networks that can plug executives in. I'm a former first vice president of marketing and sales. I sold computer graphic workstations in the 50 to $300,000 range, and I've taught, and I have a good consulting background, a lot of different technical skills here. So I can do high impact micro monitoring. Private equity and enterprise firms pay premium bodily rates for 30-minute consultations to navigate regulatory hazards and assess emerging technologies. And there, we have what we call durable human skills, critical thinking, political savvy, domain context traits that generative AI cannot replace. So you matter as a human being. But we need to really kind of tool that up and build up your brand here. And the tools that I'm working with can help executive branding services like Oh My Brand equip unretirees with digital thought leadership profiles to bypass traditional age bias. We're talking about ageism here. One of the reasons why I'm developing a virtual enterprise is we hire ourselves and really, and and really, we really do it. We soar. And so these are some of the knowledge capital matrix. Uh, these are from the articles that it went through here. These are some of the ones that exist already. These are different uh, expert networks that you can join and look at. And they even went through kind of a brief of like advantages and limitations of each. So there's one called GLC, Third Bridge, InfoQuest, Alpha Sites, NewtonX, and each one has its pros and cons here. And in terms of execution speed versus transcript depth, so it's gets you thinking here. We're going to add more value to this. We're going to find out what our niche is for the kind of creative, innovative direction that we are being called to take. So the last level, level 5, that's getting to the top is the encore career and the shift to significance. At the apex of the hierarchy, unretirement transcends financial and social need. It becomes a vehicle for self-actualization. The Encore Center combines continued income with social impact, primarily driven by mentorship and intergenerational knowledge transfer. That's what we're talking about, this reverse mentoring here. It's about profit with principle, launching purpose-driven ventures or transforming into education and healthcare. That's why we're really into our e-learning services here, bridging the generational gap, transferring decades of domain context to younger digital natives to stabilize organizational succession. Wow. It'd be really great when, I'll have people taking over my business after I'm no longer working. Right now, I'm just building that. And so as an agent of action, framing older workers not as victims of aging, but as active social constructors thriving in 100-year life. Well, I'm getting close. So the corporate value proposition of an age inclusive infrastructure. The silver tsunami, that's what they call us, the boomers who, been a wave, is a strategic labor advantage. Employees who are actively integrating the unretirement workforce secure a massive competitive edge in dependability and institutional stability. Younger people don't stay very long. They get frustrated and they leave. They leave for a lot of different reasons. They're at the smorgasbord of life, and they've been, really kind of they expect a lot out of life. And when they don't get it, they say, "Well, I'm young. I can go find something else," and they do. So there's a lot of turnover in brain dams. So we need to mitigate that. That's what when you watch my CEO Dave, that's his concern. That costs a lot of money because he invests this time in finding these employees, and then they leave. And so there's a $2.5 trillion economic gain and stability by hiring older workers here. There's a nonprofit that provides what they call cafe certification. This is certified age-friendly employer brand that signals operational excellence. 89% of candidates prefer cafe certified companies. They're actually saying, no, we don't want to reject you. We really want you. We want to learn more about you. We can use you either full time or part time. We're open to understanding what we need here. And so there's retention economics. This is a return on investment of experienced labor. That's what they call us, experienced labor. Older workers exhibit 81.1% likelihood of staying in their roles, drastically reducing the hidden costs of turnover. So this brain drain here. And there's macro impact. Fully integrating experienced labor has the potential to drive a 6.70%, 75% increase in gross domestic product. Okay. And these are some softwares to consider looking at. You can sign up for that do the kind of the matching here. 10K, 10,000 coffees. Scaling the encore career with a corporation requires purpose-built software. Manual spreadsheet matching fails to capture the complexity of multi-generational skill transfer. So these are some of the corporate software that some of the companies are using here. And they have their pros and their cons, but they really talk about, this is focused on end-to-end pathways, smart matching via HRIS pathways, dashboard tracking, mobility and retention, mentoring, C, highly configurable matching algorithms, robust audience management, ERG, community integration, Fronis is proprietary matching, IQ, 10-minute purpose assessment for motivational matching, guided low prep conversations, and all of that. Okay. Together, which by absorb is blending formal LMS training with peer-driven mentorship, AI suggested discussion topics, and super upskilling, content integration, versatile group experiences, circles, cohorts, self-managing capabilities. We're going to check all of them out and store them ourselves and see how that relates to us. There's much more creative ways to do this than just these software issues here. So we're going to be activating the multi-generational workforce via reverse mentoring. So you got these two sides here. You have the Genter, the Gen Z mentor provides digital fluency, AI tool adoption, agile experimentation, contemporary cultural expectations. And then you have the unretiree mentoring provides domain context, political and strategic savvy, emotional regulation, and industry network access. So you have these different deploy models that you can see how this is kind of all working, together, supportive. And so you have these different models of deployment. There are the executive digital pods, or 6-month cycles pairing high potential Gen Z with senior leadership. There are innovation pods, flattened cross age teams, solving specific business bottlenecks. This is what we do here. This innovation pod kind of thing is what happened with our Lizzie, with CEO Dave. They come up with some innovation that really helps. And ERG mentoring circles, safe spaces for discussing sectional workplace realities, kind of dealing with why aren't we working together? What do you care about? What are your needs? These are my needs. Where is the elephant in the room? That kind of thing. And so this is engineering a 100-year workspan, the silver tech frontier here. And the technological enablers here that they've mentioned are AI-driven diagnostics, whole body MRIs, and methylation clocks, monitoring internal age to preemptively manage health risks, wearable biomarkers. That's kind of like if watches and rings here, things on your arm to manage your glucose and your blood sugar and your total, diagnostic here software, and cognitive enhancement, generative AI assisting with memory retention and workflow optimization for older knowledge workers. So the combination of those is going to end up with greater wealth span and greater health span. That's the whole idea of this graphic here. So the strategic imperative, the age strategy, is a growth strategy. The unretirement revolution is the ultimate turnaround success story for the global workforce. The $8 trillion longevity economy demands that we redesign our financial products, workspaces, and corporate cultures for a 100-year life. Key strategic takeaways are the following: transition wealth projects from passive accumulation to dynamic decumulation, redesign workspaces to serve as age-inclusive community anchors. This is where my virtual enterprise is really going to come in. Deploy structured software to capture and transfer institutional wisdom. So the bottom line is capitalizing on the silver economy requires treating older adults as the engine of the modern economy, not its anchor. So one of the things that we're going to be dealing with is the reason why I'm helping people with storytelling is so they can be more effective when we do a series of critical conversations for a 21st century world. These are being done over YouTube here and over Zoom. Um, so this would be an opportunity for you. I'm working with a lot of people that are concerned with climate action. So the slide is kind of for that. But your exposition, who you are, what made you change and get involved with stuff, your challenges that you've had to overcome, how you've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and what you're working on now in terms of the resolution to your life and to the planet, and the social proof. This is a Zoom call. So imagine, every one of these people that we on has audiences. So this is a way for us to reach more people and to really create a major transformation here. And so problems we're having navigating our unretired lives are, for me, a sixth mass extinction of species life. That's what I like about climate change. It's so all inclusive. There's nobody that doesn't include young or old. And there's still racism. There's discrimination by race that is coming back into the whole political sector here, culturally. Gender discrimination by sex continues. Ageism, discrimination by age. So each one of these that look like a challenge is really an opportunities in disguise, including artificial intelligence. Even though there's good cause of concern about AI getting out of our control, there's also a lot of positive reasons why to use AI to move forward in your life and in your business. And that's really been happening with me. Mental health challenges, physical health challenges, political and economic challenges, violence and social unrest, the threat of war. Wow, are we seeing this today? World War III? Hopefully not. But the deal is environmental and species life extinction challenges are actually opportunities in disguise. That's why I'm really, really hopeful and that using the tools that I have, that I can make a difference for my remaining time on the earth plane. Learning and information challenges are opportunities in disguise. As the climate clock ticks down, and as our life clock ticks down. Wow. So here's some next to dos step by step that I really want you to check out. First of all, finish watching this video. I know it's long, but we've also created chapter markers so you can go back to it and see what we're talking about here so you don't miss out. And weigh in with your comments. This is YouTube video, so make your comments here, and this is really important. Also, because you matter. And schedule a free consultation with me. Go to neurocom.com and, you know, schedule an appointment because we can help. And let's connect and make a difference. We can still make a big difference here think about how many of us exist here and how skillful we are, and how much experience that we have, and how much more we, as lifelong learners, we can develop ourselves. So this is really great. So if you need to know more about this, I'd love to connect with you. You can call or text me at 206-920-8067. You can email me at support@newworldcom.com. You can visit my website at www.newworldcom.com and go to our CRE Learning Services page. Go to our contact us page and let's connect. We would be glad to provide a free consultation to listen to where you're at in this whole journey of unretirement and help you get where you need to go. So this is great, and I look forward to working with you.